Can we see the recording afterwards? Will it be published on the Patreon?
We are live.
Yeah, we can do that.
Live
Cool.
Actually,
custom
we're actually live,
stream.
but
Are we live streaming now?
yeah, we are.
Woo,
If you look at the top,
Let's see if it's on the channels though.
Hey,
where's it supposed to
how
be?
you know?
Somebody check third row.
All right, it's live on third row. We'll see if it's live on super. Yep, everyone's live.
Okay, sweet. So we're all live right now?
So we need
Yep.
to
All right,
share
hey
it.
guys. Yeah,
I was just watching
welcome
bonus
to
stories.
the third row Tesla hosted live stream, co-hosted with the Super Geeks, us the Super Geeks. So peace, guys. Good to see everyone. So just want to say happy Elon Musk Day. So thank you to Elon Musk for making this possible for all of us, connecting all of us together. It's pretty amazing. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So yeah, we wanted to meet today and just like kind of talk a little bit about how we all came together. We've all got our own paths, and you know, just part of this bigger mission. Like, why are we all doing this? Why are we so fanatical? You know, why do we love the products? All these sort of reasons. So I'll hand over to Am Lebec, and he's the brainchild behind this idea. So he's gonna give his back take on the whole story.
What's up, everybody? I was thinking the only fitting way to start an epic podcast or a live stream like this is with a toast. So everybody raise their glass or your mug. Hold on. What do we got here?
Sweet.
Now you know. Here you go.
Cheers.
Fill it up.
Cheers to Elon Musk Day.
Cheers.
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 There you go, Gally.
Cheers.
Gally, I see you, Gally. Just to kick things off, I mean, even though we're calling this thing Elon Musk Day, I think you all realize, even though Elon is kind of the epicenter of this movement, it's kind of the ripple effect, right? All of us have been affected by Elon and the companies that he's leading. I tell a lot of my friends that, like, if Elon's life was a 9-inning baseball game, he's just like at the bottom of the third inning. Like, this dude is just getting started. And a lot of this kind of kicked up or got started when we were doing that big Zoom call a few weeks ago. So just a quick background, Ross is calling. Oh, there he is. Ross actually is the genius, the mastermind, the real mastermind behind this is actually Ross Gerber, because he was going to gather all of us at his house in LA on 420 pre-COVID, right? So COVID comes in. A house. And so we ended up scratching the physical meetup, and we did it.
One of them.
Yeah, so we did a Zoom meeting. And during the Zoom meeting, Ross started ranting about how Bloomberg, CNBC, they just love to shit on Elon, right? Like, I think, Ross, you actually said something like, if a baby was falling out of a building and Elon saved it, they would write some sort of article saying Elon injures baby.
Totally. I did say that.
So, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, a lot of my friends that are on here, they know, like, if you've ever, the first time you met me, you almost always heard this one thing. I was like, you know, one day in 50 years, there'll be an Elon Musk Day. We'll all appreciate this guy, but probably when he's dead and gone, you know? So then when Ross said that, I jumped on the opportunity. I was like, you know what? Do you remember this, Ross? I was like, let's just do an Elon Musk Day. Who cares? It's 2020, 420 Elon Musk Day. And everybody on the call just got super into it. They're like, dude, that's a great idea. So that's where everything kind of started. It was very much grassroots, very much just started like from the community. This has nothing to do with Tesla. This is all the main reason for this movement is the Tesla community.
It is. It's a huge movement, and it's so cool this morning because they send me whenever I'm in an article, like, the service, and I was like, oh, what did I do today? And it was like, oh, it's Tesla 420 day, and they wrote an article about it, and I was so stoked. I was like, yes, the best part of all of this is if you would have, let's say at the worst part of it, if you would have gone long Tesla and short oil, oh my God. Like, so today was one of the greatest days for us that can be. I literally, my family doesn't understand. I was running around my house. Like, if I was on my trading floor, like, I would have been like, sell oil, like sell. It's negative. It's like going more negative. Like, it's fucking like my whole life. When I was a kid, my mom like cheated during the oil embargo to get gasoline. And I remember that was like the one time my mom was like, yes, I lied about they by your license plate. It was like if you were odd or even. And my mom was like, oh, sorry, wrong day, you know. And I was like, Mom, really? You know, and we had to get gas, you know. And today it went negative like $35.
Got a screenshot on my phone that's
Yeah.
currently am I muted? Oh yeah, I've got a screenshot on my phone, but unfortunately it inverted. But the top 2 things trending on Twitter in the United States for a bit today is number 1 was Elon Musk Day, followed by oil prices go negative.
Right.
So we had this 1-2 hit of Elon Musk Day went up like this, and the price of oil went down like this. Coincidence? I think not.
I think not.
We did it.
Conspiracy.
That's amazing. So
Oh
what I was
my
thinking,
God.
guys,
So
to
this
kick
was like-
things off.
So I had a client a few weeks ago. He's like, what's the trade we could make that would be like the epic big short trade? And I was like, you know, everybody always wants that, but you know, I don't know, you know, but if I was going to do anything, I'd short oil, you know. So I've spent the last couple of weeks trying to figure out the best way to do this in any real size without taking too much risk, which I couldn't find, you know. But boy, today there are somebody who made a fortune. There's people who like so now you have a situation where, since this has never happened, like since none of this has ever happened, all the quant guys are getting murdered because they don't know how to like process this in their little computers. So like when you think about it out loud, like why would I want oil? There's all this oil, nobody wants it. Where are they going to put it? There's nowhere left to put it. Now it's on ships. So ships are going around and it's coming out, and it's coming out more and more and more than before.
All right, we're not letting
Ross,
oil
I know
rain
where to
anymore
put
on
it.
this parade. Yeah.
Ross, I know where to put the oil.
So
there's those huge wells, right? You know, they're all over the world, and you can just like put the oil into the wells.
They're doing that. They're filling everything they can.
Guys,
Yeah, for sure.
hold on. Let me grab the meeting for a second. So I thought it would be really fun if all of us spend a minute or two, like what I was saying earlier, Ross, before you called in, is everyone has a little like when they saw the light or that epic, like I call it my come to Jesus moment. When I understood as an oil and gas executive, I went to go tour the Tesla factory and all this. Actually, yesterday, my wife and I were like looking through my emails. There's an email March of 2011 when I'm trying to convince all my friends to invest in Tesla. And I'm reading these threads. I'm like, oh my God, this was like a long time ago. But really what really set it off, the catalyst that really took me to the next level of like fanboydom and really getting involved in the community, of course, is the same as most of you guys, is when you first buy the product, when you sit in a Tesla. But I'm curious, let's start with Gally, because I don't know the answer to this. Like Gally is like our big champion when it comes to the market, like the Tesla stock. To me, actually, I've told Gally this before. I have Rob Maurer on one side and like Sean Mitchell, and I have Gally, you know, a lot of energy. Rob and Sean are like even keeled and like very thorough. And this is how I like understand what's going on with the Tesla stock. But Gally, when was the first time? When was your like come to Jesus moment? And then Gally can pick the next person. But let's keep it to like a minute or two, and then we can kind of go from there. I think that'll be fun. Unmute yourself, Gally.
Wow, so much pressure. You know, my come to Jesus moment personally as a tree hugger sort of person was when I figured out that someone had a plan for climate change, because I always cared about it, but I was like, oh, algae biofuel, like I had all these ideas, but there was no like way to tackle it, and I was super passionate about it. And so then when I read Elon's master plan, like I heard about the Roadster, and my mentor got a test drive, and so I was like, wow, I got to Google this, look up the master plan, and I read like this guy had a plan to actually, you know, cheaper car, and it just inspired me. I was like, wow. And not only does he have a plan, but like it involves buying the coolest, fastest car you can buy. So it's like there's like a sexy component to it. And ever since then, I was just like obsessed. So yeah. And I guess I'll pass it off to maybe Soph.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, how I got involved with this is kind of, I was never intending to start a podcast about Tesla. So it's kind of funny. I was actually never even intending for it to be so welcomed by the community. So thank you to everybody who's embraced our podcast and supporting us. I love you guys, and I think we're all on the same page and trying to, save our planet pretty much, trying to drive our cars and offset all the carbon emissions. And we can see how much of a big difference it's making right now with most of the ICE cars like home in the garage. So super happy about that. But getting back to how I got originally involved in this is, my son is a huge motivator. He just turned 7 last month, and he's had trouble breathing ever since he was born. So we've always had to have HEPA filters, and that's part of the reason why we got the Model S with the built-in HEPA filter, so we can pretty much drive anywhere and know he's going to be okay. But yeah, so I wanted to get something that we were going to have to drive a lot, because before I used to live really close to work, and then I moved really far away. So the school that we wanted to send him to it's called Muse. It's a vegan school, because that's a big part of my life as well, being vegan. And so yeah, we got a Tesla so that we could actually have that negative impact on we didn't want to pollute on that long drive. And I was lucky, and I found a used one, because at that time they were just new, right? So I've been a Tesla owner for a long time now, I think 5 years, and it's been a wild ride. So yeah, this bigger mission that I'm part of, I didn't even know it was really existing until I was like, wow, really make a difference, and we can change the planet. So now we've got everybody on board, and I'm part of this bigger team. So it's not just me anymore talking to my friends. It's like, now we can make this live stream, and the whole world can hear. So that's a huge impact that I feel. And thanks to Elon for, like I was saying, put us all together, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have found each other. And so yeah,
Zach
I think
Jesse, I'm dying to know.
Yeah,
where
me
did
too.
it start for you guys? Because somehow for you guys, I never saw this video.
It started with him first.
Yeah, I mean, Earth Day 1990. I
wasn't alive.
I was all excited, and I thought felt like this movement was alive and well, and then it just seemed to slip into nothingness for the longest time. I mean, I was so excited as a teenager to get into my first electric car. I thought GM was going to do it, and then when they started crushing them, I just went into serious almost depression.
Mm-hmm.
And then so just kind of waiting for something to come along and help. And then along comes this guy, Elon Musk. The Roadster comes out. I wasn't quite sure, because it was for, rich people and stuff. And then, but I did get into the stock early. And then I heard about the Model X, and Jesse and I were like, that's perfect.
I wasn't so convinced at first, but I mean, I did my research. I was in high school, and I was watching the Grasshopper tests of SpaceX, and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. And then
but I think it was really when we drove it cross country that it cemented it.
Yeah,
we fell in love with it.
We got you were hovering ready to buy that Model X the moment it went out, for sale. You got 183 something, and then so yeah, we were just let's drive it across country. And man, did people, they were just it's like two aliens just landed in a spaceship. We would always open the Falcon Wing doors, even though we just sat in the passenger and driver seats. Have to get my jacket, have to get a hat, a camera, something, and but yeah, that was really what cemented it for us, because we would just end up places. We would just be like, oh wow, we're 150 miles from home on a Thursday night.
And then talk about community. You'd get to a supercharger, and it was Tesla time. It was time for everyone to talk about Tesla, right? So soon as we got back, the day we got back, we started Tesla Time News, because we're like, we have to keep this community going. We love being a part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at it. I just love being with you guys.
Yeah.
All right, we have to hand it off to how about Ben?
All right.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me? I just came off mute. Awesome. So first of all, it's awesome to see so many familiar faces. I know quite a few of you off of here. So great seeing everyone. I'll try to be brief. It's kind of a multifaceted, kind of complex journey for me, but one of my heroes is Carl Sagan. And my kind of personal life has been very much around entrepreneurship. And I consider Elon somewhat of if Carl Sagan were an entrepreneur. He kind of represents my vision of kind of two of my favorite things. One is that, kind of far-reaching perspective that only I feel like Carl Sagan can take very complex things that are hard to fathom and make them seem understandable. And then entrepreneurship as a tool is really a way to mobilize someone's interest and to do it in a way that I think is more efficient and longer lasting than charity. That's one of the reasons that I like entrepreneurship, is that you can get leverage through a business in terms of not only capital, but manpower, marketing, all of these things, and have something that lasts, where you're not just spending money endlessly to keep something going. These things happen naturally. And what Elon's done has been the highest level of execution I've seen as an entrepreneur, and also at the same time, in many ways, charitable. I think that, you know, in my case, I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to do things that I love, and I happen to be involved in the car industry because I enjoy that. But my belief is that if you combine things you love with business, you can not only live a lifestyle that you're happy with, but also you can influence others at a wider scale than you can without a business as a mechanism. And what Elon's done is taken the biggest, most audacious goals I've ever imagined anyone taking in multiple categories and mobilized multiple businesses around them. And the impact he's having is phenomenal. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a burden that is for him. And I think one of the things to be celebrated about him is not just what he's done, but the weight of the world that he's literally taken on in his life. I think ultimately, and I wonder, you know, whether he would some days want to trade all of that burden for just a normal life where he can sleep at peace and not be trying to solve problems every second of every day, because he has so many problems to solve. But he does them, and no one else can do that. And I think if he could trade with someone else that was able to accomplish at that level, he probably would, but no one else can. I've never seen anyone else do what he's doing. So in my background, my story very simply is that I bought an office as neighbors with Tesla. I was already in the car industry, modifying cars, and I was already a Tesla stockholder long before I got involved with Unplugged and started this Tesla business. But bottom line is, he's changed the world in so many ways, and he changed my world in the car industry and made me become a fan of electric cars and made us literally bet our entire business on that. You know, we were modifying gasoline engine cars for 14 years. And then we started Unplugged, and every dollar we had got invested in that at a time where it was very unpopular. I started in 2013 modifying Teslas, and we bring these cars to trade shows like SEMA where there wasn't an electric car there. And everyone thought I was like the dumbest person in the world. Like, why would I bet my entire business on an electric car when at the time that was so uncool for car people? Now it's a lot easier, but you know, it's been a journey in the same way that everyone has, trying to promote this vision. It just so happens that electric cars are superior. So it wasn't hard to promote ultimately because the platform is there. And a lot of that is Elon. You know, Elon has this ability to not just know what needs to be done for humanity's sake, but to know how to pair that with a business that makes sense and to solve the science and engineering behind it. And that's a lot of different disciplines all in one, but he finds the right recipe. And you know, I'll follow him anywhere. I really believe in what he's doing, and I'm very much invested every day of my life on trying to push that mission forward.
Nice.
Oh, I get to choose now?
Yes.
You want
I
to?
love this list. A lot of friendly faces. Oh man, Ryan, I want to hear from you.
Sure. How's it going?
Hey,
Let me make sure everyone can hear me. Hey, I'm kind of newer to the scene here. I know a lot of you from a different side. I actually recently left Tesla, but let's go back even further to when I first found Tesla. Really, it came out of just a passion and an interest for, honestly, money. I was interested in what my dad did as a financial advisor, and you know, I was learning about stocks as a young child, and over time, basically, I learned about different stocks. I invested in Google at IPO, and I was kind of nerdier, you know, talking about stocks at school, and I was interested in Tesla because they were here local in California, and yeah, basically my friends told me, you know, that's the worst company you can invest in. CNBC said it's the worst company, and really I hadn't done any real research on that, and so I kind of took what he said at face value, but I went home and did some research on Elon Musk and was like, wait, no, this Tesla company isn't just, the next electric vehicle company. This is made by, PayPal's Elon Musk. This is made by SpaceX Elon Musk. And, I started to realize, how do I want to make money in my life is not just a matter of making money. It's a matter of investing in things you believe in. I think a lot of us here that have invested in Tesla would stand behind that we don't just invest in Tesla because it's investing to make money. It's because we believe in the future that this company is leading us towards. And so really that led a lot of my life path. As I pursued my education, I wanted to do something that I believed in and not just pursue like the money, but actually do something I loved. And so I went to school studying how to tell stories for brands. Then I ended up with a job at Tesla that I just left actually 2 weeks ago to launch a brand new YouTube channel, which hopefully you'll all be hearing from soon. But yeah, really excited to be a part of this community on this side, telling more and more stories about this awesome company and the awesome products that come with it.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'll pass it off to, let's see, someone I met at the Cybertruck unveil. Let's pass it off to Viv.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for me, which is actually kind of funny because my handle of Falcon Heavy, but Falcon Heavy was this key moment for me personally, like for many people. And before that, I mean, I did hear about SpaceX and I did hear about Tesla, but I didn't really dig into either of them. So when I started reading up on Elon, what I really liked about him was like his disrespect for the status quo and the way he would never give up. Like think about 2008 when Tesla and SpaceX were like both on the verge of death and he still put everything on the line, and luckily both survived. So yeah, and I've never really been a car person and I'm still not really, but Tesla is just entirely different for me, both for like the sustainability aspect, but also just the entire way they handle things. They might make mistakes or they're clumsy in the way they handle some things, but I think their heart and like Elon's heart and everyone who's working there is just really in the right place and they believe in the mission. And I think this like pure belief in the mission is what made the company so successful eventually, because like if you don't have passion, or if you don't, like if no one believes in the mission, then the company is eventually going to fail because no one's willing to put everything on the line the way Elon did and the way everyone else did. And Elon also said like there need to be things where you wake up in the morning and you're excited about the future, and that's really what his companies embody for me. And I've recently been reading the Culture series, and I know Elon's been quite inspired by these books too, and it really does feel like his companies are some sort of, the first step towards making this post-scarcity utopian society a reality one day. And I think turning us into a spacefaring civilization, which I think like even if, none of us really live to see it happen because it's like super far away, but I mean, it's one of those things that does get me up in the morning, just thinking about how, one day in the future we'll see that happen, and super inspiring. And Elon's companies are not just about him or are not just about making money, although obviously it's a requirement, they have to do that otherwise they go bankrupt, but it's not the goal of these companies. It's about the bigger picture, and that's really what I admire and what's inspiring me every day. Yeah.
What I love is that every company could stand alone and be one of the best companies in the world. But then when when you think about them together, they all work really well on Mars. The Boring Company would be great on Mars. Electric vehicles would be incredible on Mars. Like that's absolutely like seeing them separate, but also together is pretty cool.
You're going to love the next episode of our podcast.
Oh yeah, you're going to love it.
That's exactly what we discussed.
It's coming. I'm halfway through editing right now.
I can't wait.
Awesome. So Viv, who do you want to pick?
I'm gonna hand it off to Vincent.
Awesome. Oh, here, let me unmute him. Go ahead, Vincent.
Okay, sure. I was I'm an investor since 2013, I think. So before the announcement of the Solar City merge,
with Tesla around 2016. I'm just a regular investor, and then I get to see a lot of like stupid stuff from Seeking Alpha, from you guys may remember Montana Skeptics. Yeah, I was like, wow, it's crazy. So I started to do a lot of research and try to get involved of the company, and then I started to find out like a lot of crazy stuff going on. And then in 2017, I think they announced the Model 3. I was like, okay, then I start to want to buy the cars, you know. Like before that, I was just buying like other brands like Beamers and Porsche and stuff like that. And then after that, just getting involved and start to believe the mission. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Vincent. Vincent, who would you like to pick as your to go tell us about their story?
I'll pass it to Ross.
Oh, here. Go ahead, Ross.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Yeah, doing good, man.
Good.
I'm excited to see everybody.
Me too.
And this, I was thinking about what everybody said, because a lot of what I feel is what a lot of you have already said, so I'm not going to just say it again. But I was also thinking about the byproduct of what this has become. Like, this is it's so cool beyond what a company could ever imagine when they're like selling a product, you know. And you know, because I've been investing in technology my whole life, you know, the best products obviously fans are just, you know, like huge fans of, but like Tesla is also a mission that impacts our lives. So to start off, I was a little bit like Vincent. When I started investing in Tesla, being somebody who is, you know, pro environment or whatever, was always just part of my life. But like, I didn't actually believe there was an electric car solution. And Tesla went public. And I remember when they went public, they were still like 2 years away from a car. And I said, you know, call me when they have a product, you know. And I actually am a car person. So I love cars and I love race cars. And I was like, if you can build an electric car that's as good as a regular car, like, this is a game changer, you know? And so the Model S came out, and the moment was for me, and I'll never forget it. Me and my partner Danila went down. He's a car guy too. And we went down to Santa Monica because we were lucky enough to be in Santa Monica, where like there was already a Tesla headquarters. I'd seen roadsters around and all this kind of stuff. But like, I also was like, you know, it's got to be a product that can really be sold. And when we went to the store and saw the Model S and like opened the doors and checked it out and then drove around in it, and I was like, holy shit, this is an awesome car. Like, no way. Like, how, you know, how many can they sell? And so we bought the stock, you know. Like, for me, if a stock's like, you know, it was like 30, 35 back then, you know, if you know, he hadn't made money and it was like not an expensive stock, but then like stuff started happening around the S, and we put money into Tesla right off the bat, like, you know, like good amount. And so when it took that initial pop, we were like heroes, you know. It was awesome. So obviously when we have such a positive experience right off the bat with the stock, we're very happy with that. And then we sold a bunch, so we took our investment out, and then we're like, now we're just going to ride this thing, you know. And over the years, there were several things I didn't like about Tesla. One was the complexity of the Model X and the problems Elon had, and the fact he didn't learn when he made Model 3 from that mistake was really frustrating to me. And the Solar City acquisition was frustrating. And then he had huge successes, which was autonomous driving and battery technology. So then when I looked into battery technology, because that wasn't really something I had looked into, the first thing I realized was nobody had done anything great with this in like so long, and it was super difficult. And here Elon was tackling this like super difficult thing. And I'll tell you, I've never been attacked more for an investment that I've ever owned. And the fact that I got attacked so much about it made me study it harder. But the final epiphany was going to Fremont. And that's what I'll leave you with. When I went to Fremont and I really saw what was happening and the scale of what could be for electric vehicles and what it could do to the world, I'm like, you know, and I realized, I mean, nobody can do what Tesla's done. So we were in, I'm all in. It's my number one stock position. I love the mission. I worry about Elon, but other than that, I think it's just an amazing company. And so the fact that this is all grown around it is a byproduct of the culture and a byproduct of the amazing opportunity to change the world for the positive. So I thank everybody involved too, because what we've done is we've fought off those people a year ago that were trying to destroy Tesla, guys. I mean, we were on the fucking brink, dude. I do this for a living. I mean, I was like one of a few people left, and it was like they were shorting the hell out of us, and all those institutions had ganged up. It was a total, that was the fraud. And like, I was like dreading kind of getting up for a little bit and seeing the stock, and so I just wouldn't look because otherwise it's like too painful. And so, and then it was like, okay, it's 175, buy, just buy. And we did that too. And it's Elon. When I realized the guy, he'll die on the floor of that factory before this is over. And most CEOs won't even dirty their finger in anyway. So I'm in that, and I have a few companies I'm in on, and that's that. And we've now beaten the best investors in the world. And it's been really great for my firm, and we've helped a lot of investors invest in Tesla, and we're working with Tesla investors, tons of them, and really trying to help people understand the car and the technology and autonomous driving, which I'm all in for, which will save so many lives. So yeah, I like Disneyland. I'm a big Disney investor, but it's just a different thing,
You know what you said about Elon Musk would die on the factory floor. If you guys ever watch Shark Tank, they always talk about that they invest in the person, not the business.
Yeah.
And who would you rather bet on than a guy as tenacious as Elon that goes after the most insane things? They told him he'd never make a rocket fly, right? And he's been landing boosters for years. Like, if you could any business that guy runs, that's where I'd want to put my money, just because he's a guy you'd bet on.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I was like going to really kick him like a year and a half ago if he didn't stop like fighting with the SEC and stuff. Like, I was trying to really get him to focus. Like, this is your mission. Like, you're not focused on your mission, which is easily distractible in his life. But like, he's very particular, and so fortunately he righted the ship there, and he listens to people, which I give him a lot of credit for being so smart, because he's such a smart guy. You could just dismiss everybody, and he listens to people, and he makes the right moves, just like that capital raise right before the virus, man. Fucking genius.
Well,
hey guys,
there's one thing, Eli, more important than betting with Elon is don't bet against him.
Right.
Don't bet against Elon.
Don't bet against Elon. All right. I want to get Marty in here because I know Marty is going to run out of time, and I want to make sure she gets to share her story of how she kind of came into being part of this community.
Sure.
Marty, we can't hear you, Marty.
Can't hear me?
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you now. Great.
I have to get closer to the mic. Basically, what I admire about Elon Musk is his passion for his goal to help us to help us have clean air and sustainable transport. He's a big inspiration to me. He's the reason why I started Tesla Club SoCal. I'm a songwriter, so I also wrote a song about Tesla, and I did a really fun music video called Let's Ride. And we actually did it at Ben's place at Unplugged Performance. I tell people every day, that, if you own a company, you sell it for $165 million, wouldn't you retire and move to an island and live a stress-free life? Not Elon. I mean, what he did is he reinvested most of his money to SpaceX and Tesla. You know, even in his darkest moments, he remained focused, and he helped get the resources to keep the company afloat. A lot of people bet on him that he was going to fail. And what I admire about Elon Musk is his motivation and his determination. And it's just bottom line, you know, he is a true inspiration to all entrepreneurs. And I'm a big fan, and we have a couple Teslas, and I'm really happy that, you know, I did the club, you know, we got the community together, you know, we're giving back, you know, to actually Tesla Club is giving back to the hospitals and the nurses on the front line. All of this is based out of Elon Musk's generosity and what he stands for. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really glad I'm part of the community.
Thank you, Marty. Hey guys, I just realized his video wasn't on. We have the #1 global referral winner on the call. This dude referred over 1,000. I think he lost count. He broke the app, I'm pretty sure. He lost count after 1,000. Or I don't know if that was like Tesla didn't get that high in the referral program. But Andy, so I don't know if you're hearing all this. We were just like talking about when you first got into Tesla, you're like, when you saw the light, I know you made a bunch of super famous YouTube videos about your Model 3. You can share a little bit with us that wild ride you did with Tesla in the referral program.
Yeah, first of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Can you hear? You can?
Yep.
Okay. So I do have the most referrals, but it took me like 15 minutes to figure out Zoom. So I'm not the one to. This is the first time, honestly, this is the first time I've used Zoom since the quarantine started.
It's
yeah,
amazing.
no,
It's amazing.
So yeah, I started doing videos about my Model 3. You know, I guess it was a little over 2 years ago now. But what got me into Tesla, first of all, was I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I think it was the Oatmeal comic series. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his stuff on it, but it's the oatmeal.com. He makes these hilarious comics, and he did a funny comic back in 2013, maybe 2012, maybe, I don't know. It was right after the Model S came out, 2013 probably, because he had owned it, and he made a cartoon about his Model S, and he described it as like a intergalactic space boat of light and water, or something like that. And it was one of the quotes was like, "It handles like a Ferrari that got porked by a luck dragon." So that just goes to show you, like, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, I need a Tesla. And then also that was around the same time where I think I was watching, you know, a lot of MKBHD, and he got to review Model S, and I was just like, I immediately fell in love with Tesla. And I was never into cars. I've always been interested in technology. So I knew right then and there, I was like, my next car is going to be a Tesla. And I knew when they released the Model 3, that was going to be it. So, you know, I got my Model 3, started making videos about it. I may be the only one, probably not the only one I released a rap video right before I got my Model 3, and totally flopped. Nobody cared. It was one of my worst performing videos ever. But I had so much fun. It was about waiting 2 years for my Model 3, and it was a fun video to make. And like right before then, I started making just a couple of videos about Tesla leading up to getting my Model 3. And when I got my Model 3, I just, like, you know, it was the best purchase I had ever made. It is still like the best product that I own. And I started making videos about it, and lo and behold, like, my YouTube videos caught on, and ended up being the world's top Tesla referrer, which is pretty crazy. I have over 1,000 right now, but yeah, I mean, it's just been a wild ride, and Elon is
you sold 1,000 Teslas.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow, that's insane. That's crazy.
And that's just the ones that used his code.
Right. So it's really probably like 10,000.
Probably.
Yeah. No, the whole thing was really weird, because, you know, that when I got my Model 3, the only the only cars that were eligible for the referrals were Model X and Model S at the time. And it was a few months after I got my Model 3, a few months after I started doing videos is when they finally like let Model 3 owners get referrals. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. I never, I didn't buy the car to get referrals. I didn't even know about the referral program until a little after I got the car. But yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. It's been life changing because like it's transformed my channel basically. Since I got my Model 3, it's just been a lot of Tesla videos. It's so much fun to make videos about my car, and I've met so many awesome people on this. A lot of you guys are included on this call through Tesla, and it's just like the events and not just the amazing products, but Elon of course is a legendary visionary it's if we're going to look up to anybody right now that's head of a company, it's got to be Elon, and the events and like meeting everybody and the way Tesla has a community and you're able to form friendships like this is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Thank you, Andy, for joining us today too. So
Yeah,
just
thanks
wanted
for
to
having me.
add, I know we've been on the call for a while. Is there anyone that has to go, that's running out of time, that wants to go, wants to tell their story next? No one?
I'm down to go.
Okay, go for it. Zach, how you doing?
So I'm trying to attract the younger viewers and the younger purchasers who are trying to get into a Tesla. And I was probably 10 years old in the Model S and X event back in 2011 or 12 down in Hawthorne that I went to. And immediately when I was there, I was like, oh shit, this is something new. So then we put money into the stock a couple years later, and we decided our lease was up on our Toyota Highlander. So we decided we would get a Model X.
You're 10 here. I'm just.
Yeah.
So we as your parents.
Obviously.
No, I mean, I just.
Yeah. So then we got the.
So you're 17 now, Zach? Is that right?
I'm 17.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you have a performance. Well, you had a performance Model 3. You still have it, right?
We still have it. Yeah, my dad and I drive it. We share it, sort of.
Sweet. Okay, continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
So he's allowed to drive the car finally.
Pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah, he was at the track too. He's like ripping a Tesla Corsa.
10-year-old just wanting the car.
Yeah. So then we've had an X since 2016, and when the Model 3 was first coming out, I saw the price point. I was like, my stock is doing well. Let me try to add more, and then we'll see how this goes. So I bought more into the stock, then put my $1,000 down. I waited in line for 3.5 hours at the Century City Mall, which is half a mile from my house. Elon was there. I met Elon and then told him my story and put my name down. And we got the 3 in end of 2017, and got involved in the Tesla community, have the X. And then I realized how revolutionary the cars are, not just by road tripping them and owning them. We got rear-ended at 50 miles an hour and then got shoved into the car in front of us. And then at the body shop, the car was completely destroyed. And he's like, if you were not in a Tesla, you would be in the hospital because of the crumple zones that they engineered into the car. So then immediately after that, we bought another Model X and another Model 3 that we traded in. So we got a performance. And then I'm sitting in our new Model Y. So we're 100% committed.
Awesome.
Forever.
Wow.
Very cool.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach.
Call me when you graduate college, kid.
I will.
He wants your money in his hedge fund.
No, I want him coming to my firm.
Oh, even better.
Love it.
Kid's buying the stock at 10. I mean, he'll probably retire by the time he's 23.
True.
I hope. We'll see.
That's how I got started, man. That's how I got started.
Love it. Hey, Etienne, Pope, we got to hear from you, man. Thank you, Zach, by the way. Is your audio working?
Oh,
Yeah,
is this the
it
Pope of
Well, you tell
Muscanity?
me.
The Pope.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, we got the real
that's-
Pope on here. This is great.
Yes. Hey guys, girls.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Everything's good. I mean, I discovered that this quarantine thing is the way people call my normal life. So I'm like, okay, it's all good. It's all good. My story, like all of you, like I was listening to your story, and your story is a story of love and like seeing how Elon does, and seeing also the company being interested in the car. My story is a story of hate. I came into Tesla at first, like from 2003 or something. I was politically on the left, like really far, and I was like not liking billionaires in general because I was like, hey, you would take your money and you would use it for good purposes. I would just be better, you know. And a share of you are not paying any taxes. So I was like, I came in like, oh, this guy says that his intentions are good, but so many billionaires are psychopaths or sociopaths. Like they don't have like they don't necessarily have a good heart. They hide behind good intentions. So for like years and years, from like early 2000s until about 2012, I was like, oh, I bet this guy is an asshole. Sorry, Fifth, there's any kid. So I was thinking there must be some bad intentions behind what he's doing. Like he must be trying to get people to like him and to serve him basically. But I was actually thinking, you know, like he's probably not a good guy. So I would have seen eye to eye with the shorts back then. I was like, yeah, you guys got it. Took me like up till 2012, and then 2012, like I was saying all of these things he was doing. I was like, no, this does not make sense. Like if he's really a bad guy, he would not act that way. Like he did so many things, and he could have used his money, retired early. He could have spent his money in so many ways that would be actually smarter for him to get like people to like him, but also not to risk it all. So I was like, I guess I'm wrong. But then it took me a couple more years until the attacks got really bad against him for me to turn around and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try and protect this guy because he's like a national treasure, an international treasure, a galactic treasure. And so 2017, I saw some attacks against him, and I started responding a bit. And then 2018, I saw that Elon was being compared to a cult leader, and I thought, oh, that is the most ridiculous things I've ever read. Cool, let's go along with this. And so I was reborn a Musketeer.
Thank you.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Oh, by the way, today is a great day for me because I've completed my completed. I have a shrine for Tesla related stuff or SpaceX. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, you see it.
So this is the volcano layer where the Falcon Heavy rises from, and all the other stuff is like Elon related. And I've got my good old Halo Elon. Let me see if I can. Yeah. This is a Cybertruck that I'm gonna get. So
awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
man. Anybody know when that Cybertruck's going to be ready?
Thank you, brother. When it's ready.
Maybe we'll get more guidance on the quarter call.
How about full self-driving?
I mean, that's I believe the early access beta is gone out already right now with the stoplights and everything. So some people have it right
Ross
now.
is fishing for exclusive information right now.
No, I'm not at all.
We don't have any.
No, it's actually the opposite. I paid $3,000 and I tweeted about it, and like it went kind of viral. It was like 600,000-700,000 views, and I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll get it soon, you know. And now it's been like 6 months. But whatever.
We'll put in a good word for you, Ross.
Yeah. Shout out.
Don't give it to him.
It does like these yellow cones everywhere.
Yeah, you're not missing much, Ross.
Hey guys, let's hear from Eli. We all we know. I think a lot of the guys on this podcast know of Eli. He plays a big role in this community. He's super good friends with international superhero Starman. But I'm super curious what got Eli into all this space. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, Eli's a very good friend of mine. When I introduce him to people, do you know what I tell people? I go, this is my friend Eli. He's an 11. And they go, what does that mean? I'm like, 11 out of 10. So Soph and Eli, they both are like my two friends. I always introduce that way, by the way, like every single time. Then people go, oh, okay, we get it. We know what you mean.
All right. So for me, it actually really began with Ashley Vance's book about Elon. So I had been following kind of a little bit of what SpaceX was doing because I've always been obsessed with space. Like since like my first memories, like 2 years old, I remember looking up to the sky, seeing Halley's Comet as a kid. Like I was just obsessed with space. Apollo 13 was my favorite movie because it had to do with space. But I really didn't know too much about Elon personally, but that I knew SpaceX was doing stuff. And then I read Ashley Vance's like biography on him. And I was like, whoa, okay, this guy is serious. This guy is going to change the world. And everything I knew about electric cars up to that point in time was a Prius, which everybody in California, and I think a lot of other places too, Prius is a vehicle sitting in the left lane going 65 while you're trying to go 80. And the other perception I had too was that the early Priuses had bad batteries. So the perception was slow and the batteries didn't last. But I read this book about Elon by Ashley Vance and I'm like, okay, this is something different. I'll go test drive the car. And it was pretty much love from first press of the pedal because I had never felt a car do anything like this to me before in my entire life. And then when I flicked on autopilot, and it was even AP 1.0 at the time, I pretty much like blacked out. Like one of my childhood fantasies, even more so than going to space, was self-driving cars. And it was like, I hit this button and felt the car like lock onto rails. And I was like, oh my God, the future is here. Like obviously it had a long ways to go, but already where they were at was so exponential. I mean, nobody else had even had anything close to this when AP 1.0 came out. AP 1.0 was like alien technology at the time that it dropped. And I was just so shook that I was like, it basically became an obsession. And for the next 2.5 years, I figured out every way I could make money to earn enough income so I could place that order on my first Model S. Because at the time, there was no Model 3. Model 3 was a couple years away. I couldn't wait. And literally the second I met the point that I could make the minimum payment, I bought the car. So that's how I got into the Tesla side. SpaceX thing I've been following for a while. And where the space thing really got emotional for me was the Falcon Heavy launch that you see happening in the background behind me. When I watched Starman blast off into space out of this experimental rocket that even by Elon's own attestation was probably not going to succeed and be the greatest fireworks show anyone ever seen, that when I saw Starman blast off into space, that was the moment that like I knew that we were really going to do this, that we were really had a chance at making it to Mars, and that space was something that we could believe in again. Because pretty much since my parents' generation, nothing exciting had happened in space in my lifetime. And then the Starman launch happened. And we had this amazing combination of the music. It was synchronized. I mean, Starman's this man in a Tesla Roadster that like anybody can imagine themselves being there. That like, it was very clear to me that like, that was kind of the unofficial beginning of the next space race that I think history will look back on in 10 years or 20 years and realize that that was the moment that the world first got put on notice of what was coming. And yeah, I was emotional. Like, dude, I was in tears watching, like, after the launch was successful, like, just completely moved. And I'm not much of a crier. Like, I didn't cry when my daughter was born. I know someday she's going to see the live stream and not appreciate that very much. But I was in uncontrollable tears watching the Falcon Heavy. And it's that ultimately led to creating the Adventures of Starman, because, like, I saw this thing and I'm like, my God, Starman was such an amazing moment. But if somebody didn't do something, it would just be a moment that would fade into the background, and that it needed to become a movement. And I kind of blacked out, and like literally 5 days after the launch started that project. And here we are 2 years later, and that thing is like full speed ahead. So, I mean, what Tesla's companies actually got me from both sides. Tesla did first, but then SpaceX, once he did the Falcon Heavy, that's when I was like, Elon's going to do it. And that's when my support of what SpaceX is doing became like undeniable. That like if Elon said he was going to do something with SpaceX, he was going to deliver. And Starship, I think, is the year that I think the rest of the world is going to find out that he's serious. I think in the next couple of years, the world's going to be shocked when they see that like Elon Musk has a better space program than NASA.
Yeah, totally, man. I can't wait to get our next episode out. You guys are going to love it.
Dude, I am too.
Hey, Kaushik is one of our supporters and on Patreon, so I really appreciate you being there and supporting us. I saw you hold up the comics, man. So you want to tell us your story?
Eli's sick stuff, man. Absolutely awesome.
Thanks,
First off, thanks everyone for organizing this, for putting this together. It's really awesome to see everybody here. Just tracking back to my experience, it's actually wonderful to listen to everybody's intro into the Elon path of journey, the Elon journey, technically, right? So I was first introduced to Elon Musk's vision when I was actually having a chat with a bunch of my friends in grad school back in 2011. I was in Michigan, surrounded by a bunch of motorheads, a lot of guys been in the car industry, the traditional car industry, me as well, having worked for a couple of automakers. And we were trying to see, like, what do we do with this degree of ours that we're getting? Like, we wanted to do something different. Like, we didn't want to be like just off the mill, like look identical to everybody else, have the same type of resume, like 10 years later. So we were trying to look for, we all had, like, what united us at the time was we all had experience working for the traditional automakers. So we all wanted to do something different. So we started just Googling, like, who's doing stuff that's different in the United States right now? And lo and behold, I see some stuff about Tesla. And this is the last semester, I'm just about to graduate. And it looks like what he's doing is really cool. So I applied. And I get accepted. And I joined this body in white manufacturing team, 12 people, right? Like, and Tesla, this is 2011, there's no Model S. And so
I didn't
my
know
first
that.
project
Wow,
was
that's
to actually be a
amazing.
body engineer on the Model S. Yeah, like the Model S, when there was no jigs, no fixtures, no nothing. We were putting stuff, like, it was crazy. And the one thing that experience taught me, which I hold very dear even till today, is never lose your drive when you believe in something. I was surrounded by some of the most driven people I've ever met in my life till date. Like, I think I was the youngest employee among everybody else who had like 20 plus something years of experience at the time. And we were all scratching heads trying to figure out how to build this car because there was no precedent. And it was kind of funny seeing people with way more experience than me having the same questions I had, being fresh out of grad school. You would think, but it was some of the most super challenging times of my life. And it really, really showed me what passion and vision can do when you believe in something. And I was surrounded by 12 people who thought the Model S was it. That was their life. That was our life, pretty much, like nonstop till we made that car, that first car. It took us the longest time to build it, but I'm glad we did because the rest is history, right? As everybody can see. I'm really proud of that experience. And so I had to leave Tesla after that, and I went on to do different things, but I kept close tabs. I kept watching because I guess it's once you're part of Tesla, a bit of you gets left behind. You can never truly leave the company, like mentally, like you're always watching this kind of echoes your last podcast where you had the ex-employee, and he I think mentioned the same thing. It's just he kept talking about it as we
can never
our team.
leave the code.
Yeah, you never truly leave. Like there's a bit of you that gets left behind, and it's wonderful to watch. It's just because what people talk about the vision, seeing it from the outside and experiencing it right there, and seeing people breathe that vision is something that I hold dear to me even today. And so when I saw Soph and Third Row Crew put this together, I was like, wow. And I was new to Patreon. I was like, oh, okay, let's see what people are doing. Being a YouTuber, all that was new to me. And I was like, the quality of content on these guys' channels, unbelievable, man. Like, great job, guys. Like, to be honest, there's like everybody out there is doing a show. And I must say, for a bunch of Twitter, people on Twitter putting together a podcast, and like, really great job, guys. Great job. Anyway, that's a little too bit about me, and keep going. Is it my job to pass it on to somebody?
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Kaushik. Well, actually, another really good friend of mine, Ignacio, He was actually the one who sold me my Performance Model 3. I'd love to hear about him. And thanks for joining in, man. Really appreciate it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks, Goss, so much for having me. And it's so cool to be a part of this community and in every sense of just being here and watching you guys. And I mean, you guys have all said it already, so I'm probably going to say a couple things over, but more than anything, I'm so just excited and touched by everybody who cares so much about what's going on. For me, the first time that I had seen a Tesla was in 2013, and it was a Model S. I didn't know what it was, and I immediately called my buddy, and I said, "Hey, what is this car?" I took a picture of it and I sent it to him, and he said, "Oh, that's a Tesla." And then we watched his I don't know if you guys have seen the documentary Risk Takers, and that one is like blew my mind. Instantly after that, I was like, Elon Musk is my idol and my hero, and that's really what it is. It's like then I got into the Ashley Vance book and the mentality of this man, and I don't even know if it's his like self-belief. I think it's just belief above everything else, right? It's like if he doesn't try, he couldn't live with himself if he didn't try. And there's that YouTube video where he's getting interviewed and the person's like, "Well, if you didn't think you were going to do it, why'd you keep trying?" And he said, "Well, because it's the right thing to do. You just got to keep going for it." And so yeah, I worked at Tesla for I think 2 years, and I got the pleasure of meeting Soth, and I loved it. It was like I'm sorry, I forgot your name, Kaushik.
Kaushik, yeah, no worries.
Kaushik. Yeah, like you were saying, I mean, when you leave Tesla, you leave a little part of yourself behind, and I feel that every day. I still keep in touch with all my buddies that work up there, but I fell in love, and the moment that I could get a Tesla, you bet I did. So I have a little Model 3 dual motor, and I love it. It's the most fun thing, the best purchase I ever made in my life. I had it for a little over a year, and I have 50,000 miles on it, and it's just awesome. But more than anything, it's meeting people like you guys and like Soth and just being a part of the community. I mean, I'm not as active as I want to be, pursuing a different career now that takes a lot of my time, but it's just such a pleasure and such an honor to see everything. And I love it so much, and it's so cool to be here and to be a part of it. So Soth, thank you, man. We really appreciate you, and keep doing your thing. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Ignacio. It's so happy to have you part of the community, man. I mean, I wouldn't have my Performance Model 3 if it wasn't for you. So thank you. All right, let's see. So I don't really know Jan very well in person. I don't think we've interacted much, but I see you on Twitter all the time. So I'd love to hear from you, what your story is and where you're at as well. So I think you're in Europe, right? Oh, let me unmute you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Go for it. Yep, we can hear you now.
I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a designer, and I've always been very much interested in groundbreaking technology, new app startups, that whole thing. That has always been my passion. But like it was crazy because I think it was around 2010 or something that I first read about Elon, and then I found out he was like actually starting up a car company, but he was also working on this rocket company, and I thought, holy shit, this guy's crazy. If you can do these things both. I mean, either of them is already extremely hard, but doing both of them to me was crazy. So I went on following this guy. I need to know more about him. And I was getting really worked up about Tesla, because I thought, oh man, this is probably gonna stay a niche company only for very rich people who can afford a roadster, you know. And I probably never see it here in the Netherlands. And then until like in one day somewhere, I think 2011 or 12, something like that, in the street where I just moved to, there was like, I came home from a night out and there was like a Tesla Roadster parked almost in front of my house. And I was jumping and yelling like a schoolgirl at a Justin Bieber concert. I was really yelling, and even the neighbors came outside because what the heck is happening here? And it's like, it's a real Tesla, it's a real Tesla, I see you finally, a real Tesla. And I was like completely I was like in love with it. And like a few days later, I met this neighbor across the street because he is the owner of that Roadster. And he told me everything about it, but I was just too. I think I was just too shy to ask him for a ride. But I've seen him driving it, and it's like the thing went so fast. And that was the first time that I realized that sustainability, like electric vehicles, can actually be faster than a freaking golf cart. Because I always thought, the power coming from batteries is probably gonna be like a golf cart, and nothing more. And so I was totally flabbergasted by what this Tesla could do. And some years later, I got to drive a Model S, and then a few years later, I got to drive a Model S through Italy and the Swiss Alps, and it was the most amazing experience in my life. I've driven a whole lot of different cars and been in a whole lot of different cars like Porsche, Ferrari, etc. But this was different. This was totally different. And ever since then, I've become a real fanboy. And it was only like since last year, I think I became more actively socially active when it was like around the time of the launch of the Starman with the Roadster. And yeah. And so and then I tried to figure out on Twitter, is like, are there other people talking about Tesla? And then there was just one guy from the inner circle. Sadly, he's not here. He wasn't here last time either, but it's a guy by the name of Tesla Truth. And he was yelling against other people. I had to figure out what the heck is
Tesla. We know that guy
Truth?
a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh my!
Yeah. And
he's currently
so,
driving. Otherwise, he could have made it. I'm sorry, he couldn't make it. Yeah, he's bad reception where he's at right now.
Ah, okay. But he was the guy actually reaching out to me. So he was talking back to me, and I was I had the idea. We sort of social Twitter friends. And then I got to know the rest, like Soph, and I've seen the birth of Third Row. And that was amazing because Sofiane was sitting in his Model 3 Performance, I believe, just using his phone. Was the first Third Row episode.
Cybertruck episode.
Yeah. And it was like 1.5 or 2 months later that they got the deal with Elon Musk, thanks to Vivian, because she asked him on Twitter, and I thought, wow, this is going to be awesome. So we all couldn't wait. And and so now I got to know a lot of people. Like I think most people that are on here, I'm following on Twitter, pretty much most of you. And recently I registered the domain name Team Elon, but I'm just going to name it Team Melon. So that I don't offend Elon or get any legal issues. But it's also kind of like like a joke. And I'm actually, I now have an idea what I'm going to do there, because at first I was thinking of collecting and contextualizing Elon's quotes, but I thought this is going to be way too much work for me. And I have my own job, and I just, so now I've decided to make so this is the first time I say this here in public. I'm thinking of making it like a reference, like an encyclopedia of the people in the Twitter community. So it's basically 3 questions for everyone of you who are here as well, that I'm going to write down in a post, and then the links to all your sources, or the publications or whatever. So for Sofiane, it would be like Third Row and maybe his own site, etc. And would be a great reference for people who are new in the community to find who is who and what they believe in and what they are doing. And I can promote also people who are involved commercially, like Vincent's Tasmanian, etc. So yeah, so and that's doable for me. But I wanted to make it look really good because I'm a designer, so it has to be really stylish. So that's yeah, that's the story of my past and my future here.
Thanks, Jan. That we can't wait to see that. It's gonna be really cool.
Cheers.
So yeah, appreciate you sharing. So so Steve, you want to share?
Sure. Unlike most of you, I didn't start on the Tesla side or even Elon's side. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and as you can see by my background, I lived in Europe for between 2000 and 2012, so I wasn't really too exposed to Elon or even SpaceX and Tesla. Just not a lot of American news or American IT news in France at least at the time. But I really was interested. I was following space development and et cetera. And the 2004 Ansari X Prize and with Spaceship One, et cetera. That was awesome. And I was like, all right. So in 2 years, 3 years, that thing is flying into space. And I think we're 16 years later and it still hasn't flown. Anyways, no comment there. So as soon as I started learning a little bit about SpaceX and started getting a little bit more, this thing might actually be serious, and more got into it. Then I started learning about Elon indirectly through SpaceX. And then I moved to New York and needed to do, got controlled my 401k where I was able to actually directly invest in stocks as opposed to being forced to put in some mutual funds. And I said, oh, let's convert everything into Tesla. And then I bought Solar City a little bit after that too, within the 401k. Anyways, then I said, oh, might as well start learning what Tesla is all about. And then I read the book, and finally, in about 2000 and I guess about 3 years ago, I really started getting to the Twitter community. And it's at that point that I really started learning the ins and out of Elon and how he, like, using first principles throughout engineering and even business, how he really uses first principle throughout everything he does, and how that can actually be applied to anything you do. And it started making me question everything, like pretty much everything in the world, from work, from and like anything. And I stopped accepting the status quo, and I started questioning a lot of things. And why does this have to be like this? No, it can't. It has to be better. It has to be made better. And that's what really, I guess, the whole Elon and everything, his whole sphere of influence with his companies has brought to me, is that openness of being able to see a world that is completely different. And it made me dream again from what I lost in the mid 2000s and early 2010 with the loss of space travel in the US, etc. Now, actually, you can start dreaming again about a future, whether it be a better, cleaner Earth through the environment. I became an environmentalist based on following and learning about Tesla. And I became a dreamer again about space and about going to Mars and just being able to do space travel, etc. And now everything I see, I go, okay, what would Elon do in regards to redesigning this industry or this new world post-COVID, for example? I don't know. That's basically what I got from it. A little bit indirectly. Tesla was last, but I think Tesla brought me the most in terms of really understanding Elon, I think, by following everything that he does. And I every single video, drone video that pops up from Shanghai and of course now Germany, like, you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, what is he doing there? What is he improving? How is he doing something different than before? And then you have a lot all in the Twitter community, all these different conversations and speculating as to what's happening. And it's fun. Sometimes you're wrong, and sometimes you called it 2-3 months ahead of time. So fun. That's it.
Thank you for
Maybe
sharing, Steve. Really appreciate it. That's awesome. So it sounds like we got is from Clean Technica.
Yeah,
Sorry, is that
Zach.
Zach? That's what I
Yeah.
figured it was Zach. So I haven't actually talked to you before, but this nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. I might have to put couple little girls to sleep in a few minutes. So, and
Sure,
I
sure.
could probably
Please go ahead.
I could probably send a drone to Steve's house. So I could figure follow up
Nice.
there. Well, just the idea of going through our background a little bit. I'll try to do in 3 minutes, not 3 days. But back when I was a teenager, I think is when I started getting really concerned about the environment in the 1990s, and basically from activism and high school onto academics, onto professional work, sort of had a driving focus on that side of life to try to help society help itself, and try to really understand why we didn't do more, what the barriers as far as social action and change were to deal with the climate crisis, which has been apparent for decades, not months or years. So it's been a really sort of an evolution how that manifested in my life. The whole thing, I got into Clean Technica basically one kind of serendipitous chance after another. It's hard to I don't want to go through it all right now. It's just it was a lot of luck, a lot of being pushed to do things that I didn't think was really my actually my expertise or where I excelled. And then basically in 2010, I took over Clean Technica. So that was 10 years ago. I had moved to Europe following my heart, and sort of just ended up, this is what I ended up doing, not really planning it. And so I fell in love with it, the whole idea of blogging about clean technologies as a kind of effort to bring awareness to them and help stimulate clean tech adoption. And then it was in 2012, right before the Model S launched, that I think I first wrote about Tesla, and started following Tesla. And it was just another clean tech story. So we were covering a lot of solar and wind energy companies back then, especially, and EVs were just starting to become a thing. But I think it was really the whole deal with Broder, John Broder, reporter for the New York Times, who took a Model S on a road trip when there were maybe 5 or 6 superchargers in the United States. And he took a Model S on a road trip to sort of test out the supercharger network for the New York Times. And it was a disaster of a trip. And Tesla responded back then to the whole situation, because he had circled parking lots several times looking for a supercharger. Maybe looking, I don't know. But there were 2 narratives. One was that it was too hard to drive a Model S on a road trip, which was his perspective. And the other narrative from Tesla and Tesla fans was, this is insane. This was set up. This was obviously not legit. There's no way you can do that trip and not make it. So you had a lot of Tesla owners, those early Tesla owners, pushing back. And I get really irritated by injustice. It just drives me crazy. A lot of people like that, obviously. But it's just one of those things that pulls me into things that I wouldn't get into otherwise. So I wrote a bunch of articles, or a handful of articles, about the story, and got very well, a lot of attention for that. And we got a lot of attention. We just rose with the clean tech industries in general, but that's what sort of pulled me into Tesla, and I think it started bringing more awareness to our work around Tesla. And then we sort of just obsessively cover the best clean tech companies, and that's been Tesla. Solar City, we covered a lot when it was a top solar leader. And the whole thing about Elon's vision, I think is the thing a lot of people have talked about, and I think it's critical. When back in my bachelor studies days, I studied sociology and did a lot of social movements. And I've said for years, Tesla is not a company, it's a social movement. And it's really not Tesla, it's Elon. And it's just a weird thing to say, but Elon Musk is a social movement. He literally is his own kind of, it's not him, it's everyone, but he is the combining force, sort of the essence underneath, most manifested essence, and so he's just this person looking to create a better future, as we've all heard a bunch of times. And I think the way he has so superbly been able to achieve that is what a lot of us, why we look at him, why he's seen in such high regards, because it's pretty stunning what he's been able to, it's, you know, it's hard to believe what he's been able to achieve. And I think there's been a lot of interesting explanations for that. One is that he learns like a shit ton, like an insane amount. And then he is able to integrate things that other people can't integrate because they haven't learned about so many topics so deeply. So I think that's one special feature of his. But when the Gigafactory opened, I wrote a story that, you know, I've written thousands of stories about Tesla, but this one stands out a lot to me. It wasn't about the specs, it wasn't about the numbers, it wasn't, you know, everybody was writing about how big the factory was. For me, it was about that he had a vision and he decided to try to achieve it. He had not just a vision, you know, he had an insane vision, he had a crazy vision, and he decided to really try to achieve it. And I think that's something that, you know, we see in movies, we see in, you know, comic books. Starman, great comic series, by the way. I look forward to the day that's like in a kind of full feature film on Hollywood. But you know, but I don't think a lot of us sort of take that into our lives as seriously as we maybe would like to. And Elon's one of those people who he says, I'm going to do the hardest thing imaginable, and I'm going to do my best at it. And he's achieved amazing things in that regard. So I think that's sort of the weird thing that you see people who are fans and people who are not fans sort of seem to miss that about him. They seem to, you know, people who are not fans seem to miss that it's about a passion to help the future and help the world. And that's what his core aim is. And I don't understand how people miss that who are critical of him, but it seems like that's sort of a defining thing that people either see or miss. So I don't know. I mean, he's touched my life in a million ways. We wouldn't be where we are today if Tesla wasn't around. The whole world wouldn't be where it is. I have, you know, Tesla Model 3, of course, you can see in the background at a supercharger Steve and I have met at. So it's a beautiful, much more beautiful future with Elon Musk than it would have been otherwise. And I think there's no denying that. And the future is now. We can live it.
Exactly. That's why we're doing this Elon Musk Day today, you know, to make the future right now, so we can all enjoy it together. You don't have to wait. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. And then let's see, is Kristen there? Kristen, you want to share a little bit?
Sure. So how did I get into Tesla? It was good to hear everybody's stories, just because listening to everybody, I realize that you're all passionate about what you're doing. It's not just something you're flippantly going into. It's inspiring. Let's see, this is my 2-year Twitter anniversary, ironically enough. I got onto Tesla and Twitter, I think, about the same time, ironically enough. I know, it's so cool. I think I was a little bit more of a fan of Elon before I was Tesla, just because I don't think we'd have Tesla, we wouldn't have SpaceX, we wouldn't have any of this without this gargantuously large, brilliant person who, seriously, like we said, he may be slow or he may be late, but he always delivers. And I think, I don't know, watching him is like watching a game of Risk, if anyone's played it. Like everything that he does, he's taking over the whole board, and he's not going to be receding with whatever he does. But I've always been really passionate about keeping the earth clean, keeping things, you know, just what we do with ourselves, being mindful that we don't leave a mess, that we make things better than we find them. And I think with Tesla, we actually were seeing, or we are seeing a car and a whole movement that actually is doing something, and it will continue to do something. I know Tesla was the underdog, and it kind of is the underdog, but to me, it's really is the one that is the leader right now. And I see it continuing to be the leader as time goes by. I don't know how you can't be on board with Tesla. I mean, I think so many people have divested interests elsewhere, but for those who are passionate about where they're at and what's going on right now, I think definitely Tesla is where to be. I'm sorry, I get so excited. I have like emotions and an adrenaline rush at once, so I can't really articulate my words, but for you who can, it's amazing to listen to you. I sound like a mess. Anyways, no, it's going to be awesome to see where things go. And I'm so excited to see a community come together and actually be part of it. It's really encouraging to watch. I mean, most of it for me was watching the Twitter community and be part of that, especially starting in April 2018 and watching that whole ramp up of the Model 3. And the fighting that was going on and the crazy stories that mainstream media was using to attack Elon was just crazy. And it was encouraging, I think, to watch people get behind somebody who was doing it the right way and to encourage him and the rest of everyone else who was part of it. So I'll be here for the long haul for sure. But yeah, this is great. This is great to be doing this Zoom. Thank you, Safin and Honor Beck and Eli.
Thank you for being here. And I apologize if it's running a little sluggishly because my computer is running a little slow. So yeah,
it's not. Maybe it's sluggish on your side. I'm all good.
Oh,
Here,
good,
so.
good, excellent. Okay,
Yeah,
happy to hear that.
if I'm sluggish, oh well.
Very good. Yeah, you guys wouldn't understand. Although you wouldn't believe, you probably understand, but you wouldn't believe like sometimes some of the technical stuff we go through with our podcast and put it all together, and it just comes out. I've been so amazed with everybody that's participated, all our guests, the whole crew. Just done a superb job in providing the content that I edit myself. So one man show and bring the content everyone. So it's such a joy for me, and to do this too. This is kind of like new for me too. So it's super happy to do it, involve everybody, so everybody gets a voice. And speaking of voices, I'd love to hear from Austin, who we actually have on our latest podcast, but it's not out yet. So yeah, we can't wait to share that with you guys.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Good, man.
Hey, Austin.
Happy Elon Day. Man, I don't even know where to begin. This is like, if you were to tell me like even like a year ago, like I would tell you like that I would be immersed into such like a wonderful community. Like I tell you, you're crazy. Like all of this is just so like awe-inspiring to hear like everyone's different experiences. Like we're all part of the same community, and we like through life we all like traversed many different paths, but we all ended up at the same I guess field goal post. And like it's just wonderful to hear like how we're all so different but similar in the same ways. I don't know, but I got involved in all this like about 4 years ago. I remember watching I actually got into SpaceX first before I ever knew about Elon or Tesla or anything before, like related to any of Elon's companies, through like my passion for space. Like I always believed that through like our hardships on Earth, if we can look up, we can just see like, even though the universe is so chaotic in its natural ways, it also seems so peaceful from our little world, from out like way out there. And it's just so like awe-inspiring to like think about that. And like I remember when the Falcon Heavy launched, and just to see those two Falcon boosters land like simultaneously was just like, oh. And you can't really like down here where like I live, it just be like, so you always like in Brownsville, you just feel so far from everyone. Like Cape Canaveral is so like way over there in Florida, and like Hawthorne and I can't pronounce it right, Luke Air Force Vandenberg Base, in California. It's just so like I never experienced like the intensity of a launch until I saw Starhopper for the first time, and to feel like the Raptor like just rumble my heart. First the ground, then my heart was just like, you just can't like compare that experience with anyone. Like I always try to share with people like you just don't understand like what's coming, and I don't think that where I live in like the Rio Grande Valley, where like where everyone's gonna realize SpaceX is here to stay, and some tremendous stuff is gonna start taking place here with a Starship. And I just can't wait for SNM4, SNM5. Just see that like that 20K flight. But man, like all of this has been such a crazy experience. I started off just taking pictures. I always tell my friends, my close group of circle, that like there's this company trying to like achieve Mars colonization, and I honestly didn't know that SpaceX was going to come to Brownsville until 2018. I was actually pretty shocked, surprised that they already had this plan to build a launch site here for the Falcon Heavy, and I was like, whoa, like what could have been here? But man, just to get Starship here would be like, it's just, man, it's just so breathtaking. But like this whole photography thing, just I never thought I could be part of this. Like I just started taking pictures, and every single day, like people would always ask for like, in the beginning, I just started taking pictures with my iPhone, and the quality wasn't the best. And people like on Twitter would always ask me, hey, could you give us better quality photos? And I would just say, I just don't have the funds to purchase a camera, the better equipment, and just get everything to just to, I guess, like show, like to share like the history that's taking place before my eyes. And I started a GoFundMe page for just to raise enough funds to purchase a drone and some camera equipment. And within 2 weeks, I raised my goal, and I was able to purchase my drone, a camera, some lenses, and I just started documenting the whole like Starhopper flight, and now the Starship progress. And I'm just so blessed to be able to say that I've been able to join this wonderful community, and this is so awesome. Thanks for letting me be part of this, guys. Y'all the best.
Thank you for joining, Austin. It's such a pleasure to have you, not just you know, on this live stream, but definitely part of the community and all the contributions you make. We're super grateful for you. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all. Y'all the best.
Elon makes us all part of history. That's awesome, Austin.
Love it.
He does. It's crazy. We're all part of this one little family on planet Earth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everyone we ever known and ever loved is here on this rock. So
hi, Jonah.
Pretty. Yeah, we got Jonna just joined us, so let's see if she wants to share with us.
Hi everybody. Oh, it unmuted me. Cool.
Right,
This is
there
my
you
first
go.
time on Zoom. I've never done Zoom before, so it's a little hard. So yeah, I'm outside because my AC is really loud. Like it sounds like a rocket taking off. So I just came outside where it's quieter. Yeah, so cool. How's everybody?
So Jonna, I don't know if you've been watching the live stream from the start, but yeah, we're doing great. We're just sharing a little bit about, you know, how we sort of got inspired. What was that moment for us, and a little bit of background for, you know, how we got involved in the community as well, and part of the bigger mission. So I know you've been writing articles for Clean Technica as well, and I know you had some interaction with Elon a long time ago, and he really he reached.
Yeah, he well, I didn't know who he was a couple of years ago. And I just like I found this meme on my LinkedIn. Somebody was like, you need to do LinkedIn for something. And I just saw this meme about him. I was like, who is this guy? So I just started researching him, and I just liked his mentality. And I was going through a lot at that time, and he really interacted with me in a very positive way. And it really helped me out a lot. So that's what really made me a believer. And then just seeing all the hate aimed at him from different short sellers and just random people for, I don't know, stupid things. Just like they don't like the way he tweets, or they don't like the way he talks, or he used the wrong word. I mean, it's just it's petty. So I just started like jumping in, trying, you know, defending. Hey, this guy helps me out. I mean, the least I could do is take up for him online, you know. So that's pretty much how I got involved in the community. And yeah, it's a good group of people, you know.
Do you want to say anything more about the blog you wrote, the article you wrote back then, or you want to leave that off?
Well, you know, it's really sad, and you know, I didn't want to like be a downer or something sad, but long story short, you know, I thought I was happily married, but my ex left me. He planned to leave me broken and homeless and stranded in a whole another state. And I was going to take my life, but right at that moment when I was going to do that, Elon had tweeted me. And then when he found out, he encouraged me and, you know, just said, hey, believe in the good. And, you know, it's really been, you know, amazing, an amazing journey of healing too. Like I'm in a better state of mind and I've rebuilt my life. You know, I have a cat child in the house. You know, I mean, life is good, honestly. And I have a lot to be grateful for. So I
And
start
you're
my
part
day
of
off
this,
meditation.
and you're part of this amazing Tesla community, right?
Yes, yes. And I'm a shareholder and I reserved a Cybertruck in December. So
That's amazing. That's kind of
I don't know how to
the last.
drive. That's going to be the problem. I don't even know how to drive.
I just
Well,
want to say, oh, sorry. Yeah,
you
I
may
just want
not
to say,
even know how to drive. You may not even have.
Yeah, by the time I get it, it'll drive me. That's what's up.
she just started a Patreon as well with her mineral and gem business. And it's really good because I'm a member now. You can start from $1 a month and learn a lot about minerals and gems and everything. So it's really good. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Check it out.
I was gonna make a comment, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That's amazing. I mean, even though this movement started as hashtag Elon Musk, actually a little bit of a background story. Saf and I originally, before we brought Eli into the mix, we're gonna call it Tesla/Elon Appreciation Day. And we had a conference call with Eli, and Eli's like, guys, you had it right the first time. It's Elon Musk Day. He's the common thread. And I was like, oh my God, like this, like, you know, that brain exploding emoji. I was like, dude, he's right. This is bigger than Tesla. This is bigger than Elon or SpaceX even. This is really about the community. Like the internet, you guys know, is not a really friendly place. Like there's a lot of like hate out there, right? But the reason that this community is so amazing is everybody's so supportive. Like it's just if whenever I tweet out all the time, Tesla family, Tesla hashtag Tesla family, I mean it. In the last 5-6 years, my sphere of influence, you know how they say like the 5 people that you hang out with the most, like kind of make up your character or whatever. It's all based on Tesla. Like it's amazing to me. I switched. Get this, 5 years ago, when I was an oil and gas executive, like how different. Now I'm kind of like. And I used to live in Houston, the corporate life and all that. Now I live in Austin. I'm into sustainability. I get into real estate business with a really good friend of mine. We're both the president and vice president of the Tesla Owners Club. My life has changed. And I think a lot of you on this call could attest to that, right? Like it's about the community as well. Like Elon is the center of what we're talking about, but really the ripple effect that it's positively impacted my life. One thing that I'll tell Tesla owners or future Tesla owners, if you guys are listening to this call, is like if you owning a Tesla is like joining this Tesla family as well, right? What I think Eli said it before, like what gas station have you guys gone to where you get out of your car and go chat with somebody and like make a friend? It only happens in this community. So it's more than just owning a car.
I think that's a really good thing you highlight, and I think it just comes back to the thing. The essence of Elon's mission, the essence of Tesla's mission, is to help people and help people help people. And I think that's what everyone here is about. I think that's what you're saying about people supporting each other in this community online. It's because the mission, the underlying fundamental mission, is to help people and help people help people. And I think that's what comes.
Let's hear from Elon's brain, guys. And I think we got our other friend here coming in. Tesla Tino. So let's go Elon's brain, then we'll get Tesla Tino involved too.
How's it going? You're still here. I thought I would run on a little errand and everyone would be gone. So cool. Thanks for having me. Real quick, started with Roadster, seeing the first one. They talked about how you mash the accelerator and the guy's mom couldn't hold on to the Kleenex box or couldn't hold onto the dashboard. And that was like, that's cool. But then, hey, saw Model S's in Malibu, just jaw dropping, still can't afford them. And then I wasn't a big Elon fan until after I saw the Grasshopper from SpaceX. Seen that thing go up and then you're thinking it's going to crash. Why is it coming back down? What the hell is going on? And then stuck the landing. You're like, that's incredible. So that's really got me hooked on SpaceX. I went for a tour last year if anybody hasn't gone for a tour, it's insanely cool. It's cool how much they do with so little. They build the rocket engines, they build the fairings, they build the stuff on the 3D printers. They have the rockets in back being assembled. I mean, it's all right there in this seemingly tiny little warehouse. So very cool. But thanks again for having me, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Teslatino, jump in here. So what we've been doing, Rafa, is everybody's telling their moment, their like come to Jesus moment with Elon or Tesla, because you're a big part of this community as well. We'd love for you to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, guys. Glad to be invited to this. I feel honored. Well, in my case, I think I've been blessed. I'm lucky that I feel like I'm the adoptive son of an incredible family, right? My journey with Tesla officially started only about 3 years ago, 3.5. But it was the culmination of a lot of following, seeing things from far, and then becoming part of the community. It's just been awesome. I personally feel like Elon and the community saved me from a little bit of hardship, right? I had a difficult moment that I was going through, and after I had a motorcycle accident, and I had already placed my reservation for my Model 3, which was, my dream was getting a Roadster, but it was out of reach. So I jumped right in when I had the chance. Basically spent, 9 months in bed. Couldn't do anything by myself, and the community, just the support and the knowledge that was shared, and the good times. I even met people that I've never seen before in my life, and they shared their vehicle with me, gave me a ride, and I started learning more and more about this. I know about Elon since his PayPal and other ventures, but this was the real moment when I really felt like I became part of something. So I'm very glad that you're all here and you share this moment with me and with the globe. Really, I think it's great. I think the mission is real. I think now more than ever, where the entire planet is crying and is suffering from things that we inflicted onto it. This is the moment that we have to show what we're made of. This is when we say what we can and we cannot do. This is the moment to never give up. Do the right thing, enjoy that. Where some of us are in Tesla because of cars, some solar panels, energy storage, whatever the reason is, but there's more than that, right? It gives us hope. I'm wearing this shirt now. My wardrobe's been probably most of my wardrobe now is Tesla related. It's like if it's not a hat, it's a shirt. Always.
That's what my wife says it all the time. She goes, "You should thank Elon just for your wardrobe." I was like, "You're probably right."
Absolutely, but
So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, we do these things because it's a way for us to show support and also to get other people involved. A lot of you have seen how crazy I've been with my car, the previous one and the new one. I don't do it to call attention just because I like to be calling attention, but it's a means to an end, right? It helped me get people involved and ask me, what is that? So I talked to them, launched a local club here in South Florida that I run with a bunch of really cool people, and just, living the mission and living the dream. So I appreciate you all of you guys and girls, everybody.
Thank you for sharing. Guys, it was so incredible when Safian's son Matthew was on there and Scarlett, Eli's daughter. It made me think, like, a lot of what we're talking about, like when I say in 50 years, there'll be an Elon Musk day. They probably, when they're adults, like in 20, 30 years, they're going to, like, a lot of what we're doing now, it is for them. I mean, Safian, that was his story, but like, it just really connected. When I saw them in this car, I'm like, this is all for you guys. Like, a lot of what we're doing, this, like, the passion, the mission, like what we're trying to help in our own little ways. It's in the spirit of Elon Musk, but I just want to leave with, like, I hope in the future we continue this. Maybe one day we move it to his birthday, but I want Elon Musk Day to be like in the spirit of Elon Musk. Let's go do some sort of charity. Let's go help some people. Let's add some positivity in the world. I want that to be the meaning of this day. it doesn't necessarily 420 is like this funny thing that we do now because of Elon and all that, but I really think in the future this will stick. You know, it could be an incredible movement, and we could do it. We could all donate like $4.20 to certain causes or things like that. So let's all brainstorm next year to make this thing even bigger. This was just like an experiment, and it clearly worked. We were trending globally on Twitter. So we did not expect it to be that massive of a movement, but it clearly was. I want to thank all you guys on the call. This is just so incredible. Something that started like as a grassroots, simple idea. It just shows the power of this community and the intentions of people, not only on this call, but people that are listening, people that are on Twitter defending Tesla and Elon. That's what it's about. It's about them. It's about Scarlett, Matthew. Like, this is everything we're doing is for their future.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, guys. So yeah, I can't wait to get that next podcast episode to you guys. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Speaking of Matthew, here he comes again.
Hey,
buddy.
It was such a pleasure to hear everybody's stories and just to share with a community like this, especially during this time. Matthew, so love you.
Hi.
Hi.
And yeah, I think we'll do this again. You know, we don't have to wait till the
Definitely.
next Elon Musk Day next year. We can still do live streams, especially when we're all stuck at home, right? So yeah, we'll host another one soon, maybe in a few weeks or something.
Definitely. Thank you all. This
All
was
right,
fun.
guys. Well, I should say my closing remarks is Third Row Tesla signing off.
Take care,
Yeah,
guys.
it was great to have you. Thank you again. All right, peace, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for setting it up.
Thanks a lot, so everyone from Third Row.